Hi, in this video I will show one tool with which you can automate your builds or your backups. So it's a command line utility. You can integrate this also with some larger tools for automation like cruise control. In essence, it has three commands which you can configure. First is to copy files, second is to run executable, and the third one is to delete files. First thing that comes to your mind is why just don't use Windows batch file for this? Well, with this tool you can have email notifications, timeout for each operation, and timestamp in your file path. Those stamps allow you to have nicely organized backups like here. I will now show you how I set up backup for my home server. On this server I'm running email server, FTP server. I have a code repository over there and also a bunch of different websites. I will make another video where I go through this so-called all-in-one home server. So here is the tool, and all configuration is being done in ini file, and you get a log to monitor its execution. Idea is to call this tool with your scheduler periodically. I will now show you any configuration that I'm using. In case of any error, this tool can either exit or continue with next task, and over here you can define how you would like it to behave. You can set timeout for each task. You will see later when I say task, I mean every line from over here. Over here you can decide whether to receive emails after execution has been successful. I usually receive emails in both cases at first while I set up this tool, and once I'm sure it's being called periodically as I wanted, I disable receiving emails when it has been executed successfully. So after a while I leave just this option to receive emails on errors. Here is the usual SMTP configuration. Over here you can see syntax and some hints for each of those three main commands. And finally here is the place where you define tasks that should be executed. On this server I'm running a SQL database server, and I back up all my database into files, and then I copy those files to another disk drive. You can, of course, instead of copying files to disk drive, copy those files to the cloud, to Azure Drive. With this run command I'm telling my SQL server to make a database backup. More precisely, I'm calling SQL cmd executable. I'm telling the name of my server, and I'm telling it to execute this backup command. So this here is solely syntax for the SQL server, and everything else in this line is the syntax for my run command. And with this parameter I'm telling to my run command to listen output from server, and whenever it receives this text it will consider this command as failed one. So I'm doing this same process for several other databases. I'm dumping a backup to this location, and then I'm copying my databases, and here is the timestamp that I included in destination path. It will result with folders being created like this. I'm also doing a complete copy of folders for several other websites on my server. And the important thing is that this timestamp value will be exactly the same for all commands in this batch, which will finally result that all my commands copy folders to the same folder. For example, here are my websites and here are my databases. And finally, I want to get rid of very old backups. I can do that with this line. It is necessary to tell where do we expect timestamp value, and we can decide to keep backups for last 7 days, but I also like to keep the last backup in a month and even the last one in a year. So with this we are actually preventing the deletion of particular folders. So it will figure out that our timestamps here, and it will want to delete all folders except the ones with the timestamp that belongs to last 7 days and last in month and in a year. And as I said, this tool gives nice log. When started, it will log complete ini file for later reference. Fortunately, it will hide sensitive information, and then as you can see, it will give output for each command. This one, for example, is the one that was making a database backup, copy of database. This one was doing a folder copy, and at the end, if everything was good, it will log success, and if I defined, it will send a success email as well. I'm calling this tool every night with scheduler, and I will just go through each tab for this scheduler so you can be sure if there is anything specific. For example, I told my scheduler to kill the task, kill the execution if it runs more than 1 hour, and this relates to execution of old commands here, while this one relates to each of commands. And how we can use this tool to manage files at Azure Cloud. When I say Azure Cloud, I mean blob storage at Azure. Here is one example for that. I'm calling AzCopy command. I'm specifying what should be uploaded to Azure, and I'm specifying the destination at Azure. Note that we are still allowed to use timestamps here, and I need to provide password or key for my Azure drive. And after my tool finishes making backups to cloud, I can tell him to delete very old backups. Again, I specify location where those backups are, and I need to tell the password or key for Azure Drive, and I'm still able to define which backups should it preserve. Note that this timestamp doesn't need to be at the beginning or end of the folder name. I think it will work if you define anything before or after it, or I don't remember, but it could even work if you have a subfolder here. And finally, this tool is developed as .NET application, so if you ever need anything else, you can download source code and improve it.